As a child, growing up in the early 2000s was just an amazing time to be alive. This was a time of juicy couture tracksuits, low-rise jeans, and bell-bottom pants. And you could still feel the influence of the 90s like a bunch during this time. We had the influence of Beyonce, we had the influence of Britney Spears, and what made this era such a time to be alive was the music. We had bops like Party in the USA, we had Evacuate the Dance Floor, and we had a bunch of different songs that were just so good and so, I don't even know, they had a little bit of spice to it, and these songs are now considered cult classics. But what made this era of music so good is I don't even know what to call it, the phenomenon known as unapologetically whiteness. A lot of these female artists at the time were very proud of the fact that they were white. And I'm not talking about proud as in my father is a grand wizard type of way, but just like, hey, I'm white and I'm proud that God made me the way I am. And we can see this phenomenon in a bunch of the different girlies that we had at the time. We definitely had Britney Spears, we had Megan Fox, we had Lindsay Lohan. All of these girls were unapologetically white. But if you compare that era, the early 2000s era, to what we have now, where we have a bunch of different white women pretending to be black adjacent, you can see that something is going on. We have all of these white women who are putting themselves in proximity to blackness to blow up, such as in Ro Vicky and that Catch Me Outside girl. But then that begs the question, what caused this dramatic shift? What caused white women as a whole to want to put themselves adjacent to blackness? In this video, I'll be breaking down how white women have infiltrated the spaces of the black community and why we as the black community need to do something about it immediately. This video is actually in collaboration with my YouTuber friend, Donna. On her channel, she'll be talking about white men in black spaces, while in this video, I'll be talking about white women in black spaces. So make sure you enjoy both our video and her video as well. For anyone who is living in the United States, we all know how powerful and influential white privilege truly is. It affects the retail market, it affects the job market. White privilege affects every industry in the United States, and we can see that through multiple different examples. I would like to bring up how for the last couple of years, this is what the hottest men in America has looked like. And as you can see, these men are not giving the hottest men in America. These men are giving very much bland. And as you can see by this just shows you how influential and powerful white privilege is. Because Blake Shelton, if y'all don't know, this is what Blake Shelton looks like. He has been topping the 10 hottest men in America. And Blake Shelton is not all that attractive to be topping the list like this, but this just shows how powerful white privilege can truly be. But it isn't just the beauty industry, it isn't just the magazine industry that white privilege affects, it even affects the music industry as well. There have been many popular artists who are just so terrible and even worse, bland, that have been able to have some type of success all due to their whiteness. A great example of this is recently the whole scandal that happened with Liam Payne, I think his last name is, formerly of One Direction. He really had the gall and even the audacity to say that he is outselling many of his bandmates. And this just shows you how powerful white privilege is, because you can just simply Google the rest of the One Direction members and you can see that homeboy is not even topping the list of popular One Direction members, and he isn't selling anything. But his white privilege allows him to believe that he's doing well when in fact he's not. And we can even see how white privilege benefits white singers, white female singers in TV shows as well. Recently, I've been watching the hit show Glee, and I've realized that the whole plot is Rachel Berry, the main character, using her white privilege in order to get everything in the show. Rachel Berry is a very mediocre singer, and she is able to be pushed and be like the, I don't even know, the main singer, if that makes sense, of the Glee show and the Glee club, all because she's white. Mercedes bodies her in almost everything that she does. Santana bodies her in almost everything that she does. But because of the power of white privilege, Rachel Berry is pushed out like she is that girl when she's not. As you can see, white privilege is that magical crack/drug that is really pushing these people in the industry. But that begs the question, why do so many white people, specifically white women, want to turn away from their white privilege and start associating themselves with blackness? Let's get into it. Personally, for me, what I feel like really spearheaded this whole movement of white women trying to be in black spaces is the rise in popularity of the Kardashian clan. We can see this exodus of whiteness in almost every member of the Kardashian clan, but the people who are the most offensive in terms of this phenomenon have to be Kylie and it has to be Kim. But seeing as Kim is the eldest sister, I'm gonna go in on her first. Kim Kardashian mostly got her fame from being associated with the white socialite known as Paris Hilton. But after a while, she really started getting her mark on the industry by associating herself with many famous black people such as Brandy and Ray J. But the phenomenon that I really feel like really pushed Kim Kardashian into our industry and into the mainstay is when she got the body modifications. As you can see by this famous photo shoot that she did, she became known for her huge buttocks, as you would call it. And this was the first step personally for me that I feel like she started to invade black women's spaces. And hear me out. So when Kim got the whole BBL thing, she started to emulate the style and flair of black women. And before y'all come for me, I want to say this now because it's the truth. Big butts, big thighs, all of those features are phenotypically associated with black women. And before y'all come for me and be like, oh, anyone can have a big butt, anyone can have thighs, duh. But the thing is that that body figure is specifically associated with black women. And we can see this in the terrible case of Sarah Baartman. She was a black woman who was stolen from Africa, treated like a slave, and paraded all because she had a curvaceous body type. So when Kim got those body modifications, she started to slant herself away from whiteness and move herself towards blackness. But it wasn't just her body modifications and her butt implants that really pushed her into mainstream success and fame. It was her relationships as well. I already just talked about her relationship with Brandy as well as Ray J, but what really pushed Kim into being like almost a global superstar is her relationship with Kanye West. And if you guys are living in the United States, you can currently see the fallout of their relationship, but Kim Kardashian owes a lot of her success, her style, her flavor, her everything due to Kanye. And we can see that her relationship with Kanye and her relationship with blackness is slowly starting to fade out. And if you guys are paying attention to the mainstream news, you can see that Kim Kardashian is slowly removing her butt implants, reducing her butt size, reducing her connection to blackness. And we can even see this phenomenon because we see that she's leaving Kanye and she even has a new white boy toy. And all of these events are coinciding with the fact that she's trying to dissociate herself from blackness. But it isn't just Kim Kardashian who's a rapid offender of trying to invade black spaces. I have another person for y'all, and this person is Kylie Jenner. But it isn't just Kim Kardashian who is guilty of trying to invade black spaces. It is also her younger sister, Kylie. Kylie followed her eldest sister's steps and went and got body modifications so she can get closer to blackness as well. And before y'all come for me, I want you to see that this girl right here is an unapologetically white woman. And Kylie of our day and age looks like this. You cannot tell me that everything that she has been doing isn't to bring her closer to blackness. And we can even see this in her terrible relationships with black men as well. As we know, sadly, she was being groomed by Tyga. But we can also see that Kylie has a weird infatuation with black men. Kylie has done a plethora of problematic things as well as darkening her skin tone. It's just a whole bunch of problematic mess when it comes to the Kardashian family. And what makes it worse is not only is she appropriating from black women, darkening her skin, stealing our hairstyles, stealing our spice, she is influencing a whole generation of children, but specifically young white girls, into believing that their white features aren't hip anymore. Because of her, I don't know if y'all forgot, but there was the whole like big lip cup challenge. I'm gonna be putting my sources on the screen for you guys to see. But because of Kylie and her whole body modification / magical girl transformation, a lot of white girls are seeing their features as not cool anymore, as not trendy. And then this has caused a massive rise in the appropriation of black features in order to seem trendy. Because if Kylie Jenner was able to go from the ugly duckling and able to transform her whole look by appropriating black features, why wouldn't little girls who are looking up to her, why wouldn't they want to do the same thing? And that's what I feel like has really pushed this movement of white women trying to be in black women's space. But to be honest, I can't really blame the Kardashians as a whole for being responsible for this movement. I have to also blame white guilt. So if you guys have been living in the United States, you were probably aware of the Black Lives Matter movement. And so at this time, you know, we lived through it. It was during COVID. It was terrible. Black people were being killed in the streets. Black people were being terrorized. And a lot of white people after seeing the brutalization of Black people at their fingertips and seeing it on their Instagram timeline, on their TikTok timeline, they realized that even though they themselves may not be responsible for the trauma and brutalization of Black people, but overall their whiteness does contribute to a system that oppresses Black people and causes our trauma. But a lot of white people, instead of being like, hey, I understand what you're going through, let me figure out a way to help, they just decided to disassociate themselves from whiteness. And we can see this with the weird phenomenon that was going on where white people, unapologetically white people, were shaming other white people for being white. And this phenomenon was always so crazy to me because, hey, you do know you too are white. So why were you shaming another white person for being white? And this was just a deflection tactic to practically make a lot of white people feel better about, you know, being white. And this was super unhelpful towards Black people because then it took the conversation away from us and our trauma and just made it a way for white people to attack white people for just being white. It really wasn't helpful. And at this time, because of the white guilt that many white people were facing, there was a rampant rise in blackfishing because during our trauma and our pain, a lot of people wanted to associate themselves with the Black struggle movement, which was crazy because while people that look like me were dying in the streets, people were blackfishing and wanting to be Black. There has been a bunch of different blackfishers that I could talk about, but the person who is the most egregious blackfisher of all time, except for the Kardashians, is Rachel Dolezal. I don't know if you guys know about her, but she was a white woman like from the country who decided to abandon her whiteness in order to be Black. And what makes her so offensive to the Black community is that she was able to use her Blackness, in major quotation marks, guys, she was able to use her Blackness to get her a seat at the NAACP. But there are also a bunch of different white women who have invaded Black spaces. So I'm gonna just get into it, y'all. The first white woman that I have for you guys is Iggy Azalea. And Iggy Azalea is pretty popular amongst the Black community. And to be honest, let me just give you some information on her. So Iggy Azalea is a female rapper whose whole career has been riddled with controversies. The first controversy that I really remember her for is her inability to rap. And I'm gonna play for you guys the clip that went super viral where everybody was shaming her for her lack of rapping ability.
Master, she know the pants got spit like a plaster. After bench, her did like don't like dash, your faster, motorbike faster. Half your rooftop in the wind. When I win, no, when I win, play good like she got hoes on call. Got hoes on call to come through, take a protocol. Just damage it, that's my protocol. She's on point when the beat me joint, gotta twist his beat. I'm spraying my joint, straight crack rap. Walk till the back, who know to the ranch, city, no ticket, yeah, should he do it?
And what's so crazy about the clip that I just showed you is that it's not even that bad for real, because if you compare how Iggy was rapping in that clip to how most of these male rappers rap today, bro, you can even say that Iggy Azalea is the pioneer of mumble rap. Because the way these rappers are rapping nowadays, like you gotta praise the original. And so the main controversy for me that really made me look at Iggy Azalea sideways is her annoying use of a black accent. And so a black accent is like a verbiage choice that you can use in order to make yourself sound Black. And obviously there is no specific way to sound Black, but when you compare Iggy Azalea's actual speaking voice to the way she raps, you can tell that she's trying to distance herself from her whiteness in order to sound more hip and more cool. Because I'm just gonna show you guys a clip of Iggy Azalea rapping real quick, and then I'm gonna compare it to how she sounds while rapping.
First decided I would like to have a music career when I was about 14.
Oh, it's funny accent time.
When I tell you, younger me was absolutely shook because I said, that's Iggy Azalea? That Australian woman is Iggy Azalea? I had no idea, bro. I would have never guessed. And that just shows you how some white women will change up their whole perception of themselves in order to get themselves into Black spaces. And I even talked about this phenomenon in my Everything Wrong with K-pop video. I'll put it in the iCards for you guys to watch. But there is just an unnecessary phenomenon in non-Black people where they will try to sound more hood, more urban, you know. And they don't naturally sound like that. They sound all preppy and preppy in their normal speaking voices. But when they start rapping, you can tell that there's a change, and that change is to bring them closer to Blackness, which is the problem at hand. The next person that I have for you guys, who is also a white woman that has infiltrated Black spaces, is Miley Cyrus. And what's so sad about this situation is that Miley Cyrus used to be one of my favorite pop singers because I watched her growing up on Disney Channel. I love the way she sang, but little old me did not realize that when she grew up, she was gonna say some of the most offensive and derogatory things to Black people. And so let me just get into it. So after being on the Disney Channel for so long and having such an innocent reputation, she wanted to get rid of her good girl image. And you know what she did? You know how she got rid of that good girl image? She started associating herself with Blackness, and specifically Black rap. And what's so sad about this situation is that it worked. By associating herself with Blackness, she was able to get rid of her girl next door whole personality, and practically Miley became known as the girl gone wild. And this whole situation with Miley Cyrus just played into a bunch of negative stereotypes about the Black community, because it's kind of like that stereotype how Black men will taint/ruin white women. And as soon as Miley Cyrus started hanging out with all of these Black rappers, that's when she started to have that girls gone wild mindset. So then in the whole media landscape, people really were like, I told you, being associated with Black people would turn you wild, would turn you bad, which is super negative, seeing as that Black people can just be Black people without you demonizing them. And Miley Cyrus's whole plan to use Blackness to turn away from her good girl persona left a really damaging effect on the Black community. I keep saying this, but what's so sad about this situation is that after she used and abused and suckled the Black community dry, because she got a lot of media attention from this. Don't forget about that. She said so much derogatory stuff about the rap industry after she left. She was like, oh, the rap industry is so misogynistic. It mistreats women. When I was, profiting off the rap industry, I realized it was so toxic. And we as the Black community really had to look at Miley Cyrus all types of sideways, because while you were profiting from your association with Blackness, you weren't saying nothing about this misogyny. It was only after you were done and tired of, being Black adjacent that you said all of this. But I want to mention the fact that her daddy, Billy Ray Cyrus, is a country singer, and country music is just historically known for being just as misogynistic as the rap industry. So I just find it crazy, and I find it wow that after, using Blackness as a whole to get what she wanted, she wants to demonize it. When the industry that her daddy, and in fact they're known for, is also just as misogynistic. But what really gets me is that Miley Cyrus has demonized a whole industry, all mostly Black industry, and said that it's misogynistic and that it's sexist, when there are rappers out there that make non-misogynistic, non-sexist music. But she didn't go to them and make music with them. She went to the misogynistic and sexist artists, and then she threw them underneath the bus after she, a white woman, used these Black men for her own benefit. So Miley Cyrus is just mad problematic for that. And the next person that I have for you guys is Katy Perry. And the sad thing about Katy Perry is that unlike most of the women on this list, she actually has some success before turning herself Black adjacent. And so we all know Katy Perry. She was famous for her song Fireworks. She was also famous for California Girls, where she had Snoop Dogg in it, but she wasn't being Black adjacent at that time. And it is kind of sad how far Katy Perry has fallen, seeing as her Black adjacency is kind of a publicity stunt. And I'm just going to be inserting some clips for you guys to see, but this is her Swish Swish era, where she was just trying to be Black adjacent, and she was making music with people like the Migos, and this was some of the worst music she was putting out. And I'm really glad to see that she's slowly starting to get away from Blackness, because whatever she was doing during her Swish Swish era was really embarrassing to see, and her music sucked. So I'm really glad that she's slowly taking herself away from Blackness and starting to make good music again. The next person that I have for you guys has started a bunch of different controversies and has been trending recently. And this is the old grandma from Little Mix. And according to Google, her name is actually Jessi Nelson. Jessi Nelson is a former member of a girl group known as Little Mix. And just like Camila Cabello, a girl who has also abandoned her former girl group, she is problematic and has done a bunch of negative things towards the Black community as well. Jessi Nelson has had a bunch of different controversies, but her main controversy at hand is her whole Black facing, it's a lot, and I'm just gonna have to get into it. And Jessi Nelson has had a bunch of different controversies, but as of recently, she has even brought Nicki Minaj into her ring to support her in her nonsense. So recently, she and Nicki Minaj had made a song together called Bad Boy. And at the release of this music video, there was a bunch of different controversies, because When you watch the video, you would be shocked and you wouldn't be able to recognize her because she has an aggressive tan. Like, if you look at old Jessi Nelson and you look at the Jessi Nelson that is in the Bad Boy music video, you would be stunned because sis is looking like a light-skinned black woman when she is indeed a white woman. And the whole gist of this controversy is that in order to seem more urban like the white girls like to do, Jessi got an aggressive tan. The tan was so aggressive that when I watched the music video, bro, I was looking for this white woman y'all told me made a song with Nicki Minaj, only to find out that that white woman was that light-skinned woman who was dancing with Nicki. And I was just shocked because I was like, girl, there's no way. Girl, no. What made this controversy even worse is that Nicki Minaj, God bless her heart, she always be supporting some nonsense. She really got up on Instagram and was just trying to back up Jessi Nelson in this whole debacle that she had going on when she knew dang well that girl should not have been doing all that in that music video. And what made this controversy even worse is that in her song Bad Boy, which was her trying to get away from her good girl image seen as she was in a girl group, she had a bunch of black men, dark-skinned black men in this music video talking about some I want a bad boy. This whole situation was given a little bit of the Miley Cyrus situation where she was using black men in order to, you know, get away from her good girl image, but a little bit of Kylie Jenner with the blackfishing too, so you guys could have the best of both worlds of different white women who have invaded black spaces. So the next white woman who I feel like is invading black spaces, this is going to be controversial, but I really want you guys to hear me out and listen to everything I have to say before commenting. Cara Delevingne has been in a bit of a controversy, you can say, because of her weird behavior / weird relationship with Megan Thee Stallion. I'm just going to be showing you guys clips and pictures of this whole situation, but Cara Delevingne has been really invading Megan Thee Stallion's business, her space, all of that, and we can see how Megan is looking semi-uncomfortable with the way Cara is acting. Supposedly they are friends, but we just have to give the whole situation a side eye, because when it was time to post a picture with Cara Delevingne, Megan Thee Stallion cropped her out of the picture, and Cara Delevingne is just consistently in Megan Thee Stallion's space, and it's just really awkward and weird for us as the general public to look at. And Cara Delevingne isn't just known for invading Megan Thee Stallion's space, she is also known for invading the space of another black woman, Azalea Banks. And this situation with Azalea Banks really made me give Cara Delevingne the side eye, because if you know anything about Azalea Banks, we know that she's outspoken, she's known for dragging people to the filth. So for she to be okay, and okay as in she didn't smack the heck out of Cara Delevingne in this clip right here, just shows just the white privilege that Cara has to be in black women's spaces. She isn't like the other girls that I mentioned before on this list, and she isn't blackfishing and she isn't being black adjacent, but she is physically being in black women's spaces and making them awkward. And I know people say that her and Megan Thee Stallion are friends, but we can see some weird energy going off there, and Cara Delevingne really encompasses all that's wrong with white women invading black women's spaces. Even though it is obvious to us viewing this situation that these black women are uncomfortable, Cara Delevingne still has the gall to be there and make these black women feel uncomfortable. And this can be said, and this can be true with a lot of the other women that are on this list. And this whole Cara Delevingne situation encompasses the whole issue with having white women in black spaces. White women will come into the black community, suck it dry of its resources, get whatever they want out of it, and then dip, and then proceed to badmouth it. And that's exactly why I believe white women shouldn't be in black spaces at all. But thank you so much to Jordana for doing this collab video with me. Make sure you guys check out her channel. She makes a bunch of good videos. If you like this video, make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.